Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Tyler Merkovich with the Czar of the Playbook, Emery Hunt, bringing you the 2010 season preview for the Buffalo Bills, coming off a disappointing 6-10 year. But Jaron entered on the hot seat. He was fired. They bring in Chan Gailey after they pursued Shanahan and Cowher. They couldn't get him. Question is at quarterback. Trent Edwards, 14-16 overall record. Will it be him? Will it be Fitzpatrick? Will it be Brom? But the big key addition here is C.J. Spiller. They drafted 9th overall. Chan Gailey saw him firsthand at Clemson when he was a coach in the ACC. This offensive line was a mess last year. They let up 46 sacks allowed. That was 4th in the NFL. And they let the quarterback get 103 times. So without T.O., what do you think this offense is going to do?
Well, I'll start with the quarterback spot. You look at, I'm going to say maybe Brom is going to win that spot, but don't count out Levi Brown, the rookie they drafted out of Troy. The guy that has a live arm, has accuracy, he's tall in the pocket, and is athletic. But Brom looks like he's going to win that spot. That's the biggest question. Who's going to be quarterback consistently for 16 weeks? Fitzpatrick provided a spark. Trent Edwards has some leadership, but maybe he doesn't have the physical attributes. You see what you had with him at Stanford. It's kind of the same guy. He doesn't have any upside, but that's the thing. If they can get that quarterback situation settled, that's the biggest question they have to answer, number one. And I look at the running game. Anytime you have C.J. Spiller, that helps out the running game as a whole, because he doesn't need every blocker to be blocked. He's going to make at least 3 or 4 people miss on a play, and that's the type of guy you want in the backfield that can take it the distance. They're really sitting on the next 2,000-yard rush.
Well, one of the running backs, Marshawn Lynch, trade speculation all through the offseason, through the draft, is still there. Mm-hmm. Are they on Fred Jackson now? Because he had a great year, and he proved that he's a mainstay in the NFL. So what do you think about the running back position?
Well, Fred Jackson, if you don't trade Marshawn Lynch, you have 3 great running backs, 3 good running backs, and a potential great one in Spiller. If you trade Marshawn Lynch, you still have 2 solid running backs in Fred Jackson and in C.J. Spiller. So I love the running backs of the Buffalo Bills. That's one of the strengths on it all.
Well, remember last year they drafted Eric Wood and Andy Levitre really early, and Wood went down with a leg injury after he was having a good year. Let's see how he comes back. But they bring in your man, Cornell Green from Oakland. He's slated to start on the right tackle. And another guy, question mark, on the left tackle is Demetrius Bell, who's also coming off an injury. They drafted Ed Wong out of Virginia Tech. Mm-hmm. He might get some playing time. So can this O-line put it together with the run game?
That's the question. Cornell Green was a penalty waiting to happen and in Oakland, so maybe a change of scenery will do him well. But I like Wayne. I like Bell. Bell has to stay healthy and be consistent throughout 16 games. But the O-line, if they can just compete. They had a lack of competing last year. It really hurt that Brad Butler retired. But if they can compete, they'll be fine. And, along with Sean Nelson, the tight end, they can help in a little inline blocking. But that's important. They have to really compete as an offensive line.
They had a bunch of injuries last year, but Evans is still there, and he's been consistent when it comes to wide receiver. James Hardy, this guy was coming on out of Indiana. He was expectations. He's coming off another injury, so will he be back at 100%? They let T.O. go. They got Steve Johnson. They got Roscoe Parrish, a smaller guy playing the slot. But they're going to use your boy, C.J. Spiller, in the passing game also.
Well, they need a number 2 wide receiver to emerge. You mentioned Hardy. You mentioned all those other guys. But they really need – that's what helped last year when you had T.O., you had Lee Evans. They allow people to – they couldn't pick their poison. But they have to get a number 2 wide receiver consistently to emerge, to help out Evans. Evans is a star in this league. Very underrated star, but they need somebody to step in and play right away. Roscoe Parrish, he has to step up and have a big year. Sean Nelson is a guy that I like a lot, tight end.
Out of Southern
Miss, guy that can catch the ball down the field. He worked on his blocking, but he's a tremendous athlete. So they have to really get someone, number 2 wide receiver, to emerge to help out that passing game.
Well, let's move over to the defensive side of the ball, and they're making the transition. And we talked about this off camera. We think it's a good move to go from the 4-3 to the 3-4 because they have a lot of rushers. So they pick up Dwan Edwards from Baltimore, but they drafted Terrell Troop out of UCF to be the nose tackle. He's going to compete with Kyle Williams, and then at the other DN, they're going to move Marcus Stroud outside. So they were weak on the defensive line, but they're going to 3-4. Listen to their linebackers. Maven's going to be a lot better than that 3-4. He struggled in the 4-3. Schobel's good. And then they got Andre Davis from Denver they pick up. Pusluzny was hurt last year. He's a great guy. He's coming back in. And they got Kavika Mitchell. So that's 5 legitimate horses at linebacker for 4 spots.
Yeah, I love their linebackers. And their linebackers are solid. They're a really good group. And that's why moving to the 3-4 gets everyone on the field. And they can attack the run on the way to the quarterback. Now, stopping the run is most important. That's what they have to do. That's what they couldn't do last year. And they move into a 3-4.
30th in the league against the run.
And that's bad. I don't care who you are. That's terrible. Teams just run the football on you down your throat. the odd man out on the defensive line is McCargo. You know, they drafted him. He's a 4-3 guy, but they bring him in on a 3-4. So now he's out of place. Then you look at where they're drafted. So maybe they're going to be more effective in stopping the run with that 3-4 because of the fact they have those 4 athletic linebackers that can all make tackles and hit. Look for Maben and the rookie Alex Carrington out of Arkansas State. They have a big year as they continue to get acclimated to this defense. This is going to be a more attacking 3-4 defense.
Yeah, they weren't too bad getting to the quarterback, but they weren't good either. They were tied for 18th with only 32 sacks. But if they can get a little more pressure, their secondary is going to make plays, led by second-year man out of Oregon, Jarvis Byrd. He went to the Pro Bowl his rookie year. He had tied for first with 9 interceptions. He's teaming up with Brian Scott and Dante Whitner with the other safety, and they got 2 pretty good corners. Terrence McGee, a smaller guy, but speedy, and Leotis McKelvin was injured. He's a special teams guy, so their secondary is really promising.
That's the strength of that defense is the secondary. You mentioned Byrd, you mentioned McKelvin, you mentioned McGee. Those guys can really play football, and it's all predicated on that front 4, front 3 getting pressure, and the linebackers provide pressure on the quarterback. But I have full confidence in that secondary. Byrd should have won Rookie of the Year twice. He was it's tough to get him to get. It's tough to get a guy that can get interceptions, but Byrd is an outstanding playmaker. And I also look at guys like your Bodie, Reggie Corner, Florence.
I like those guys.
Yeah, those guys are solid guys. They have a lot of depth. And Brian Scott, guy that out of Penn State, big guy that can play corner or safety, can play a little bit of nickel, but can also play safety. They have a lot of depth. So the secondary is a strength. If they can get pressure on the quarterback and if they can stop the run, Buffalo's defense is going to look tremendous this year because I love the fact that they moved to 3-4. That's going to be a great for the Bills this year.
All those guys are drafted reasonably high too. 3rd, 4th round, the latest. And Reggie Corner underrated too. Ashley Yabodi a little disappointing, but he's a backup.
He's still solid though.
Drayton Florence has been in the league for a while, so we'll see what happens.
And then you look at jump back to that linebacker core. Don't forget Andre Davis, guy that played a lot of good football.
Oh yeah, we mentioned him coming over from Denver.
Right, and Denver as well too. So that's the thing. He played Cleveland, Denver, so he's coming to Buffalo. He's a solid linebacker. So this defense won't be a problem if they can stop the run. That's
some people were shocked that Denver gave him up and Buffalo picked him up. So that's their treasure now. He's going to be a good player. But they were 2nd in the league in interceptions. So this secondary is really promising.
Secondary is not a problem. That's a strength.
Special teams. This team a couple of years ago was unbelievable on special teams. Special teams, Bruce DeHaven has Ryan Lindell inside 40 yards. He's 98.6%, so he's unbelievable from close range. Brian Mormon, 46.5 per punt. He's good. And Roscoe Parrish had a little disappointing punt returning, but this is why they get Spiller. They're going to use him in this facet a lot. And McKelvin hurt last year. He'll be the kick returner. So special teams is looking up.
Special teams is going to be fine. You don't want to kick at the Spiller. Ask anybody in the ACC. You do not kick the Spiller, whether it be on punts or kickoff returns, because he's a running back with vision and has quickness. So that's a deadly combination for a returner. Do not kick the Spiller. That's going to be outstanding. Even Fred Jackson come in return kicks in the punt, kickoffs in the pinch. So they have the special teams unit. It's fine. You mentioned Roscoe Parrish. All those guys. I'm not worried about Buffalo's special teams unit. They're solid special teams, running the football, the secondary. So if they can get the O-line and the D-line questions with run stopping, I think Buffalo's going to be fine. They're going to surprise a lot of people this year.
Yeah, they're in a tough division, but they couldn't reel back-to-back wins last year. Only once they did it. So, I mean, if they could reel off, get some momentum, this team has some promise. So it should be interesting to see what the Bills do in the tough AFC East this year. For more NFL previews, visit footballgameplan.com/NFL or check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/footballgameplan.